Good morning, everybody. My name is Janine Cummings, and all of us are so happy to be here with you today. All right, you ready? Let's lift our heart in praise. Early in the morning, when I rise, I lift my hands in praise because I'm alive. And late at night, when I lay down, I lift my heart in praise for the love I found. And I sing, ooh, for the love I found. Let's do it again. Early in the morning, when I rise, I lift my hands in praise because I'm alive. And late at night, when I lay down, I lift my heart in praise for the love I found. And I sing, for the love I found, for the love I found, for the love I found.
Thank you, Janine. How many of you sing that song at home when you're not at the service? I know I do. It's like, oh, love that song. Good morning, everybody. Greg Saltis here, serving as your platform assistant and welcoming each and every one of you to our streaming service. You know, it doesn't even matter where you are as you're watching this, because no matter where you are, we are all here together in prayer and making our community strong. Unity helps us to accept and appreciate diversity as we recognize the light that lives in every single one of us, celebrating our individual differences.
Good morning. I like this candle as a symbol of the divine light, the Christ light that shines within all people, in all places. At Unity, we honor faith traditions from around the world, old and new. We recognize that we are culturally Christian and we are spiritually unlimited. Please join me in prayer. Spirit, we open our hearts and minds to a greater experience of life, of love, and of peace. We align our thoughts, our words, our actions with the divine presence that lives and moves and has its being in us and through us. We pray, knowing that all people are endowed with this presence of light, and we call it forth now from the divine within me to the divine within thee. We agree to see wholeness in all people everywhere. Oh, thank you, God, for this experience of truth, this experience of love, this experience of forgiveness. In gratitude, we pray. And so it is. Amen.
Just so everyone is aware, the Zoom fellowship hour following today's service is not happening. That is because today is Pie on the Fly Day. And hopefully all of you have been informed. If not, I'll tell you one more time that we will have a slice of pie for you as you drive through the parking lot. We also have some other great things. We have a packet prepared for all of the items that you will be needing for the holiday services. You'll get a white stone, you'll get a candle, you'll get a slip of paper for the burning bowl, and that way you will be prepared to participate in our traditional services even though you are at home. I also also want to mention that we'll have the giving tree so that if you were motivated to buy a gift for one of the children next door, the tree will be made available and you can take a tag. We're also collecting food for the food bank. Last but not least, I just want to mention that this will also be a fundraiser, so your conscious contributions would be greatly appreciated as the church is currently having a bit of a shortfall. So please do not let your wallets and checkbooks hunker down the way we all have to. Please bring that and help out the finances of the church. Reading today's daily word is Nancy Gordano.
Good morning. Today's daily word is forgive. In the peace of prayer, I release all unforgiveness. If I hold on to feelings of hurt, betrayal, or anger in response to another person's words or actions, I block the flow of divine love and peace in my life. Likewise, holding on to guilt and shame and embarrassment that may arise when I have hurt another person also keeps me from experiencing divine love and peace. Forgiveness removes all barriers, all obstacles, anything that may be disrupting my experience of the divine presence. In order to forgive myself or another person, I need not justify or approve behavior that is unwelcome. I need only to become willing to forgive. In the peace of prayer, I release all unforgiveness. I feel the healing power of divine love as it dissolves all barriers, all illusions of separation. I forgive, and I am healed. And from Matthew chapter 6, verse 12, and forgive us our debts as we also have forgiven our debtors. So today's word is forgive. Please repeat the affirmation with me. It's on the screen in front of you. In the peace of prayer, I release all unforgiveness. And so it is.
Thank you, Nancy. This is the time in our service where we affirm our statement of faith, and I invite you to join me with There is Only One. Together, please. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good, all power, presence, and wisdom. It is in God that I live, move, and have my being, and we know this is so.
I'm gonna stand up. I'm gonna stand up. Oh yes, I'm gonna stand up for my heart and be free and be free. I'm gonna speak up. I'm gonna speak up. Oh yes, I'm gonna speak up for myself and be free 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 and be free. I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna listen. Oh yes, I'm gonna listen to the God that lives in me, lives in me, that lives in me, lives in me, lives in me, lives in me, that lives in me, lives in me, lives in me, that lives in me.
Thank you, Judy. Well, it's great to be with you this morning. Let's begin with a poem from Marie Shepard Williams. It's titled Everybody. I stood at a bus corner one afternoon waiting for the number 2. An old guy stood waiting too. I stared at him. He caught my stare and grinned, gap-toothed. "Will you sign my coat?" he said. Hold out a pen. He wore a dirty canvas coat that had signatures all over. Hundreds, maybe thousands. "I'm trying to get everybody," he said. I signed. On a little space on a pocket. Sometimes I remember I am one of everybody. This month, our theme from Unity World Headquarters is interconnection. The affirmation, excuse me, I'm gonna get rid of my, I guess I'm moving to this location, Paul.
I'm sorry.
All right, how we doing?
Good.
That's probably gonna work better. Tech issues. Gotta love it. Interconnection, the affirmation from UWM is like rivers flowing from one source. We are all connected. And isn't that the truth? You and I and all people are connected, and yet so much of the time we might end up feeling disconnected, like we're separate from or apart. And that is part of the human condition. That's our human experience. And what we believe here in Unity is that it's our work to recognize that we are spiritual beings having this human experience. That it's not that we're living as humans all the time, but that we are having a human experience. This is like this sacred contract. Remember, I am one of everybody, and you are one of everybody. In Unity, our sacred contract is based on our principles. The first principle, that there is one power and one presence, God, and that presence by any name is always around, always within, always lifting us up. And that secondarily, the second principle, I have a guest coming here in just a moment. You got it? You know, some Sundays are so smooth. I just was hearing from somebody this morning saying, "You guys do such a smooth job every Sunday. You would not believe the stuff that goes on behind the curtain." So the second principle, the first principle is there's one power and one presence, God. The second principle is the idea that we as creations of God, that we are imbued with the divine presence, that all humanity, in fact, for myself, I believe that all of life itself is imbued with the sacred. And that that's our foundation for the sacred contract that we keep. We agree that this is true, and that is what we use to go forward into the world. Now today, I want to continue our study of the Beatitudes. We began in the first week of November, got the first 2 out of the way. We got the second 2 out of the way in the second week of November. And today I want to work on the numbers 5, 6, and 7. But I want to just do a reboot. And I will read from King James, because I like the language, the Beatitudes that Jesus taught. This is from the book of Matthew, chapter 5. When Jesus saw the crowds, he went up the mountain, and after he sat down, his disciples came to him. Then he began to speak and taught them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And blessed are you when people revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. So, one of the things that I really love about unity is that we take the Bible and we try to see what does that mean. In my Spiritual Explorers book group that meets weekly, we have just launched into another John Bishop Spong book. And he talks about this in the preface, that it's not so much about knowing and having a certainty that we know exactly what this means, but it's about being in the question and asking, well, what does this mean? And for my part, I believe that that's what it means to be spiritually alive, is to ask, what does this mean? What does this mean for me today? And so we've already talked about the first 4 Beatitudes. We're going to move into number 5. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. So what is mercy? That's a word that I think of as being close to charity, right? That people receive mercy that don't deserve it. But I think that the more common word that we would use today would be compassion. And everybody deserves compassion. So that it would read more like, blessed are the compassionate, for they will receive compassion. That's pretty straightforward, right? Next, blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Okay, so the question is, who are the pure in heart? Some might say children, but then others have children. So, remember what I said earlier, in unity, our sacred contract is that we recognize that there's only one presence and one power. So I believe that those people who are pure in heart are the people who live day to day, moment to moment, able to see that this is God, that this is God expressing, that this experience that others might judge as painful or horrible or bad, that this is the presence of God right here. So it might read like this: blessed are those who live as if there really is only one source of all life, for they shall be consciously aware of the presence of God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Yes, so again, what does that mean? Who are the peacemakers? Peacemakers, I believe, are those who have made peace with themselves, with their history, with their own story, and with others, their families, the perpetrators in their lives, those that they don't know. So it might read something like this: blessed are those who have made peace with themselves and others, for they are proof of a divine presence that lives in and through all of humanity. Now, this is a sacred contract that's available to everybody. And I want you to note how these are affirmative statements, right? We start off with, this is what you do, and then this is what you receive. We know in advance that it's a blessing. Blessed are those who do something, take an action to be something, and then they receive a spiritual gift in return. It's not like, well, you could do it and not get that gift back. It's a sacred contract that Jesus was telling us about. Some of you may know our very own Sandy Crowell. She has been working for a few years and has recently published this book, Water, Woods, and Prairies. It's about the history of Thurston County. And I got it and started reading and then didn't want to stop reading. But what I found in here was a Northwest Thanksgiving story. Isn't that sweet? So, I love Thanksgiving. In 1844, a neighborhood of people who lived in Missouri decided to head west. In this neighborhood, there were mostly white people, but there was one family, George Bush, who were descendants of Africans and Europeans. What had happened in 1844 is that news about racism and race riots was getting worse and worse and worse. And so they decided to head west, where there might be more freedom, because George was married to a white woman, and they had children, and they wanted to protect themselves. And in this neighborhood, they were all interconnected already. So the entire neighborhood up and left. They get on the wagon train, they head out 7 months, they get to the river, Columbia River, and they send somebody over the river into what's now called Astoria, and start doing some research and find out that, well, people of color can move to Oregon country. However, they will be subject to intermittent whipping if they do. So that didn't work out. The entire group stayed on the north side of the river, which was occupied by the British at that time. The British got them through the winter. They worked for what they received with the Hudson's Bay Company. And then when the spring came, both explorers from the British and several people from this neighborhood who had come out from Kansas headed up north of the river to explore. So when Mr. Simmons, George Bush's neighbor, came across the lower falls at the Deschutes over here, that is part of our community, it's Tumwater, he knew that that was the place for them. So he went back down. By this time it was summer. They packed up all their belongings, and then they trekked up north through the woods. The last part of the trek was in October, and it happened to be a very wet October. Some of the women in the group said that that was the worst part of the journey from Missouri, the month of October in the Northwest. That's well, it's all God. It's all God. So one of the things that we're aware of is that they didn't make it through that first winter without help. Once they got to this area, it was populated already, of course, by the Native Americans who lived here. And so when they got to this area, they lived through that winter because of the assistance that they received from the Native Americans here. They arrived at the end of October, and for me, it's like our very own Northwest Thanksgiving story. And I especially love it that it's free of racism, that it's a story about interconnectedness. And then, of
course, as generations went by, we know that in the Northwest, the race consciousness, the agreed upon thought that racism was okay, came to pass. But in that time, in that place, on those days, in that year of 1845, going into 1846, they were at peace and they received help. The voice of Native Americans have been speaking the truth about their experience of Thanksgiving for a long time. And there's a part of me that's embarrassed to say I just found out about it. I mean, just in the last couple of years. They call this the day of mourning. Not all, but many, because it's symbolic of the time when their ancestors began to lose their lives and their land, their freedom. So I think that one of the things that we want to do, if we recognize that we are interconnected with all people, is that we have to stay awake and know that that's the truth. We have to be willing to be present to the whole truth. Just like the stories in the Bible. You know, there are stories in the Bible that I believe are myth, completely false, but that they hold truth for us that is important. Our story about Thanksgiving is based on mythology. Now, that first Thanksgiving, there was definitely assistance, but that it continued, not so. And yet, we want to take the good that's in it and be present to that. This Thanksgiving service, the worship team, the Council of Trustees, and I offer this statement, not just for this day, but for every Sunday service going forward. We acknowledge that this land and water is the traditional territory of the Stay-Chaws people. The Stay-Chaws people are of the Squaxin Island tribe. The surrounding mountains, valleys, shorelines, and waterways are imbued with their presence. We recognize our Coast Salish neighbors and our shared responsibility to this place, their homelands, where we mutually abide. It's a sacred contract. We call attention to the importance of keeping our contract, that is the contract of seeing all people as holy and divine, through recognizing the history of this place and its people. Today's daily word is about forgiveness, and I especially enjoy the text that says, holding on to guilt, shame, or embarrassment that may arise when I have hurt another person also keeps me from experiencing divine love and peace. Forgiveness removes all barriers, all obstacles, anything that may be disrupting my experience of the divine presence. Our sacred contract is knowing that we are always in the midst of God, that we are expressions of the divine, and that every other who has different skin on and different bones inside of their skin, that they also are the expression of the divine. In our community, since we have been shut down, since the pandemic really kicked in last March, we have been doing something differently. We have been acting with compassion and love towards our neighbors in a way that I just didn't know was ever going to happen. And our community coordinator, Kathy Evans, has been the leading, guiding force in this practice. And so I want to invite her to share with us today about compassion. Kathy.
Good morning. What'd you do with me? Here I am. Service is my spiritual practice. It is for me a conscious connection with my true self. And when I was asked to speak today about my journey and the effect that it has had on me, that act of serving was not where I wanted to start. But in order to get there, I needed you to know how important it was to share a little bit more about who I am. And that is a question that I have been dealing with for many, many years. What's my purpose on earth and what gave me worth? So I'm going to start from my beginning. I'm a child of the 50s, eldest of 5, 6, went to a state college, got a degree, worked in education as my career, married, got single, got retired. Nothing unusual. But I've always seen myself being blessed with good health, financial security, strong relationships, and basically content with my life. And yet, I was empty. I felt really unfulfilled. Lost at times. So, as a dutiful daughter, I just proceeded through life. And I listened to what others expected me to be, whether it was my truth or what their expectations were. But my spirit was not being nurtured. Well, several years ago, 20 in fact, I came to Unity looking for a spiritual counselor to help me through a divorce. And the minister suggested at that time that I just attend service, just become a part of a community. Here I am. I've remained. And I quickly began to embrace many of the practices in my life, not as a routine necessarily, but a practice that got me centered and gave me peace. A lot of it was through positive affirmations. Lots and lots of affirmations. I posted them all over, gathered the daily word, underlined, earmarked. They were everywhere. But I still was really struggling on how it was fitting me. Well, eventually I began to start to see a change. I was defining myself through the truths of others. My interest, my gender, my career, and realized that those weren't what I was. Those were not who I was. So I needed to find out truly what it was I was joy. Well, let's move to the present. We're in a pandemic. The removal of all outside distractions. I had to start dealing with me. And I lived by myself. Okay, the walls are speaking. So I revisited a practice that we have had classes on called What If. So what if I choose to use this time to see myself in a retreat and really focus on my question. What am I here to do? So I took all the tools that we know, self-care, journaling, reflecting, and of course, denials and affirmations. And readings from the daily have always been a foundation of my start of the day. But this time I decided to use them differently. Not just as setting the intention, making a list of how I was going to proceed through the day, but what I needed to know to hear. So I started underlining, and words and phrases kept popping out to me. It was like, my gosh, Kathy, aren't you listening? Things like, I am an expression of God in action. I am open to creative expression through service. I trust my gift to make a difference. I look for opportunities to share acts of kindness. I had asked for clarification, my gosh, and there it was in print, day after day after day after day. Spirit was speaking to me repeatedly. My purpose was to serve, to volunteer, to make a change in the world, doing something outside my small world to make our community and world better. Well, how do I attempt that? Here we are, shut down. I have no connection to people. The community is closed. Well, guess what? Miracles do happen. Reverend Terry calls. She says, my fellowship group would like to start serving lunches at the homeless shelter downtown. Would you be willing to start collecting the volunteers and for the next couple of months, continue? Certainly. I'm a community coordinator. I can do that. I created a list. I made the phone calls, got the meal plans going, contacted our leads, coordinated, organized. It's going to happen. I was task-oriented. I could do that. Whoops. Here I am, shifting back into my defined self. But as the months went by, I started seeing myself participating really differently. I no longer used emails and texts to connect with people. I picked up the phone. We had conversations. I was sending out words of gratitude from our guests and the staff that we were serving on a weekly basis, and I shared them back to the groups who had donated. Connection was being made, and that act of donating became more. I was participating as myself, connecting with the staff, connecting with the guests. We were sharing and celebrating joys that our efforts were bringing into the lives of the homeless. And through that simple act, just bringing food, I was beginning to see my own truths. I had something special and distinct to offer to not only the people at the shelter who greeted me by name. They knew who I was. And those within our community. I had names, I had faces. Unconditional love and care and compassion was being received. So I began to divine. I began to recognize that my divine nature was being nurtured by serving others. Helping others, simply stated, being present with a smile, a helping hand, a simple act of kindness, just caring. And as I was expressing gratitude, acceptance, and kindness to others, I was fulfilling my life's purpose. And the more I participated with my purpose, not defined for me, but defined by me, I was more fulfilled, and I felt fulfilled. I am so grateful to be having the clarity and passion that this project has given me. Well, you know me as, and I'm going to say lowercase, community coordinator at Olympia.com. Well, I'm going to give you a new name. A new name for me. I call myself a community engager. These last 8 months have been an unimaginable opportunity to connect to myself, to create a way for people to connect with them more deeply. I thought my service was to serve this community, but what it really was is that through that encouragement, I was serving, you were serving me. Serving lunches at the homeless shelter has become a very spiritual action for me, and it has awakened me to my true purpose. But the volunteers supporting this project have all been a part of my awareness of myself, and I am very grateful. We have made a difference in many, many lives, and every week I have hoped to bring back their feeling of gratitude and appreciation. Today, I'm acknowledging you, and as I began speaking, there was a banner going across the screen with all the individuals who have participated in this service project. There were 60 dedicated folks, committed, who have and continue to participate in this sacred service project. Members of service teams, members of fellowship groups, single families, and community members that aren't even connected with us. No one came just once. Everyone came back over and over. We never missed a Wednesday. We have served over 1,200 meals to a group of 30 people every week. So I'm hoping that with your names being seen, you are knowing that you are being honored and acknowledged and really appreciated. We as a spiritual group have made a huge difference in the lives of these people. We have come together as one, providing a sense of normalcy, calmness, and hopes to their lives. The guests and staffs see us as part of their family. They greet us by name. They share their daily feelings to us. And the message that we send back is, we see you, we care about you, and know that we've made a difference. There's one piece that I'd like to share. Just before they moved their shelter's presence, they sent 2 thank you cards. And I will briefly just share a couple of the notations. The support and comfort your meals bring have been crucial in providing safety and stability for our guests. Thank you for stepping up in such an uncertain time and showing up for the most vulnerable members of our community. We are blessed. Own handwriting, own words. So today I've changed my affirmation. In closing, I have a new one. I pay attention to my inner guidance. As I listen to the whisper of my soul, my learning is gentle. No longer do I need to be awakened by a cosmic 2x4. No longer am I spiritually hard of hearing. I will trust my intuition and follow my passion. Blessings to you all.
Thank you, Kathy, and thank you to every one of you who has participated in providing lunches. And that's not all Kathy has been doing either. I mean, that's not all. Today's opportunity to provide gifts for children who may go without Christmas gifts if it were not for us exists because of Kathy and working with our office administrator, Indita. The opportunity to provide lunch or Thanksgiving dinner is because of Kathy. She truly is engaging. And there's still an opportunity for you to participate. There is room for more. This is a sacred contract. See, this is the deal. The contract is that if you adopt certain attitudes, if you live into this way of being that has been taught by great spiritual masters, including Jesus, then there is a payoff. We just heard Kathy talk about what her payoff is. And I know that it can be challenging to read through the Bible and the stories and teachings there. So that's why I'm here. I want to read for you a complete rewrite into my own words of the Beatitudes. When Jesus saw people closing in around him, he turned within to connect to his highest consciousness, the Christ that was the truth of his being. And after he surrendered, everything he needed was there. Then he began to speak, teaching them, training them, saying, "Blessed are those who know they don't know everything all the time, for they shall be awake. Blessed are those who hit bottom in grief, for they will be lifted up. Blessed are those who surrender to God, for they will be at ease in all worldly conditions. Blessed are those who hungrily seek the right use of their thoughts, words, and deeds, for they will experience a life of satisfaction. Blessed are those who live compassionately, for they will receive compassion. Blessed are those who live as if there really is only one source of all life, for they shall be consciously aware of the presence of God. Blessed are those who have made peace with themselves and others, for they are the proof of a divine presence that lives in and through all humanity. Blessed are those who are ridiculed for living authentically, for they are enlightened. Blessed are you when people gossip about you, turn you away, when you have come to know the divine nature in your own experience of life. Celebrate and be happy. For your reward is a life in the conscious awareness of God, right here, right now. The same was done to all the great mystics before you. You are in good company. God bless you. Oh, yeah, we're going to move into meditation.
Oh, I'm ready. Thank you, Reverend Terry. What an exquisite rewrite. Oh, my goodness. Let's take a deep breath. Let's just place a hand on our heart. We're going to visit forgiveness. I wrap my heart in a blanket of forgiveness, right now, right now, right now. I wrap my heart in a blanket of forgiveness, right now, 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 oh, right now. I wrap my heart in a blanket of forgiveness, right now, 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 oh, right now, oh, right now, oh, right now.
I invite you to close your eyes and relax the body as we move into a time of meditation. Take a big, deep breath. And as you release it, let the body relax. Do this a couple more times, bringing all of your attention to the body and the breath. Let the shoulders drop, let the belly be soft as the spirit, the air moves in and through you. The symbol of God itself, bringing life, peace, ease into your mind, your heart, and every cell of the body. Receive this blessing from our Master Teacher. When you see circumstances, thoughts, or emotions closing in around you, turn within to connect with your highest consciousness, the Christ that is the truth of your being. And when you surrender, everything you need will be available to you. Then speak. Teach those thoughts and emotions by speaking the truth. You are blessed when you know you don't know everything all the time, for you are awake. You are blessed when you hit rock bottom, for you will be lifted up. You are blessed when you surrender to God itself, for you will be at ease in all worldly conditions. And you are so blessed when you hungrily seek the right use of your thoughts, your words, and your actions. For this will lead you to a life of satisfaction. You are blessed when you live a life of compassion, for you receive compassion. You are blessed when you live as if there really is only one power and presence, God. For you are proof of the divinity of humanity. You are blessed to live an authentic life. You are blessed to be awake. Breathe in these truths, that they are very personal. This is sacred contract. I invite you to be with this for just a few moments in the silence, you and God, and this agreement. We're so grateful for this truth. Right here, right now, the divine essence is living in and through you. And we are blessed.
Today I'm grateful. Today I'm grateful. Today I'm grateful for every little thing. Today I'm grateful. Today I'm grateful. Grateful for just what this day will bring. Today I'm grateful.
expanded worship team today would like to welcome each and every one of you. Not only do we have Paul on sound and Mary Ellen on production, but we have numerous pie slicers. So we are not only welcoming you to today's service, we look forward to welcoming you to Pie on the Fly. And we will be here. We'll be masked, we'll be gloved, we will be serving up the pie and all the other good things that we expect. And together, as you know, we can continue to hold the high watch for our church, our planet, and everybody on it. You know, Mary Ellen and I had the opportunity to call many of you this past week to remind you of Pie on the Fly, and it was very, very uplifting for both of us to hear some of you, many of you actually, say how important these streaming services are to you. And we know that this is one of the ways that we have stayed interconnected, even though it's not face-to-face. So we're grateful for the fact that you are tuning in and that this has been serving you. I say the words every week. It was really nice to hear that it's true. So we only have one announcement today. I've already talked all about Pie on the Fly, but I want to remind everybody that at 2 o'clock today, Interfaith Works will have a Thanksgiving service, and our own Reverend Terry has been asked to be the MC, and our own Janine Cummings will be playing one song. She assures me there are many other talented musicians involved, which I don't doubt, but I'm looking forward to Janine myself. So please consider joining that service at 2 o'clock. It took me a while to find interfaithworks.org because there is a dash between interfaith and works. So it's interfaith-works.org, and you can tune it in at 2 o'clock. So I mentioned earlier that the church is in a slight shortage on our contributions, and we know that all of you are still consciously contributing. And we want to encourage you to really open your hearts and open your wallets and checkbooks in whatever way that may be. You'll have the opportunity today. You always have the opportunity at unityofolympia.org. I know many of you are electronic contributors and others may be texters. And you can go to, 360-234-2669 with your conscious contributions. However you give, we are grateful for that, and I ask that we now take those gifts into our minds and our hearts and bless it with divine love. Together, please. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Open to the sacred richness of our infinite source, we, as Unity of Olympia, joyfully co-create unlimited prosperity right now. And so it is.
The light of justice, truth and grace, lead our country home to freedom, freedom, freedom for us all. May the light of justice, truth and grace lead our country home. May it lead our world home. And we'll rise up until freedom has been won. May the light of justice, truth and grace lead our country home. May it lead our world home. May it lead our world home.
Yes. Let this be a beautiful blessing. May the light of justice, truth, and grace lead our country and our world home. Friends, I want to let you know that Janine and I also will be offering a Thanksgiving Taizé service, music and prayer, on Thanksgiving Day,
Facebook Live and through our website and YouTube at 1:30. We know that many of you are going to be spending Thanksgiving alone, and we want to be with you. Let's join in our closing prayer. The light of God surrounds us. We are, hold on, nobody's saying it. I got 4 people in this room. Come on. The light of God surrounds us. We are the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love of God. The power of God protects us. We are the power of God, and the presence of God watches over us. We are the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.